a lot of different things, different worries from the community tonight. Safety being the big one, kind of why you guys want to all of a sudden, it feels like, to the community move from the location that you had already chosen on the south side to the north side, kind of staying in that exact same neighborhood. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in the neighborhood since the 70s, and that's essentially what we're asking for the neighborhood's blessing to allow us to stay here. Essentially, we had the Rescue Mission leadership in the early 2000s had acquired the property initially with one plan, and that kind of fell through because of it being a flood zone. And so again, it's the beginning of 2018 where we started praying, asking the Lord if this is the best location for our clients. I can't really speak to if those questions had been asked in the past. I know that when I stepped into the position, that one of the things that the Lord had put on my heart was how to best serve the population that He sends to our doors. And we're talking about over 1,600 individual people a year. So the amount of people that we're impacting is pretty significant. And we wanted to make sure that we're doing the best for them and getting them staying close to the resources that they're already using in this neighborhood.
I know the big thing that you wanted to make apparent was the fact that you guys don't own the property on the north side yet. It's still owned by the city and county land banks. And then one of the questions was, if you would start building today, if you acquired that land, would you be able to break ground and start building the mission on the north side?
Yes, we would be, as soon as we were able to purchase the property from the county land bank and the city land bank, from a fundraising perspective, we are ready to break ground. So we're looking to, again, the city and for approval to purchase the parcels that the city land bank owns, as well as the county land bank, and go ahead and break ground. Once we own the property, if that is the city's desire, we would be able to break ground. Yeah, the cost for the properties, we're not talking about having any kind of a significant impact on that. It's a $4.95 million project. We have $493,570 left to go, so we're about 90% there. And I know that there's a lot of folks that have expressed interest that once they see the walls coming up, that this is in fact the reality, that 493, the Lord will send that in quite quickly.
Why is it more practical to move to this proposed location versus the one that you had in mind on the south side?
Yeah, so it's more practical because of our clients. Like I mentioned during the meeting, our clients walk to their appointments. From a resources standpoint, the Rescue Mission doesn't have the resources to be able to provide transportation to everybody every time they need it. So and a lot of our clients like to walk to where they're going. So a mom with a couple of kids that has an appointment at the hospital, doctor's appointment, where we're currently located here on the north side in this neighborhood, which is where we're asking the neighborhood's blessing to stay in this neighborhood. It's much closer to these resources than the south side. Like we said, mom with a couple of kids walking 2.9 miles, which takes about an hour to get to the hospital and back. And that doesn't even take into consideration walking to Goodwill, Catholic Charities, VA clinic, which is all the resources that our clients use. So that's why we started, this property had been brought to us as a possibility. It wasn't one that the mission was actually seeking. It was one that was brought to us when I asked the question, where would it work? Where would it work for the city and for the city of Youngstown and our clients? And this was actually brought to us.
When did these conversations start happening? Was it February of last year or February of this year?
Yeah, so we started having conversations about the possibility of a different location in February of 2018. So we're over a year, because at the time the properties were owned by more than just the city and the county land bank. And so we weren't sure if this is a possibility. As of today, the properties are owned by the city land bank and the county land bank. So it is possible. Again, we don't own the properties, but we're asking for the neighborhood's blessing to purchase them and to stay here in the neighborhood is what we're asking for.
Have any of the residents tonight brought up new questions or new concerns for you guys?
Yeah, we've had several conversations with some neighborhood leaders and some folks in the neighborhood over the last several months. And like we had mentioned, one of the things that we did from a design standpoint is to listen to these concerns and to help answer these concerns. Because again, we're a community organization. We are funded by individuals in this community, businesses, churches, and foundations. So we want to work alongside of the community because we're a part of the community and we're serving the community as to who the Lord sends to us. So.
All right, now is there some kind of timeline? I mean, do you want to keep on having these discussions? Do you want to start moving forward within the next few months? I mean, what kind of timeline are we looking at as far as having these discussions?
Yeah, from a timeline perspective, we're looking at the city for whether or not they're willing and able to sell us those parcels, and then the vacation of the Oakland Avenue, the small portion of Oakland. So we're looking for the permission from the city of Youngstown. And again, as soon as we own the properties, the Rescue Mission is able to break ground. And again, this is something that the mission has been talking about since the 1970s, about building a new building. I have newspaper articles from the 1980s about a location for the new facility. So we're talking 40, 50 years of having a discussion. So the Rescue Mission is at the point financially where we're able to break ground. And so our hope is to do that here in the same neighborhood that we're at.
Right. Mayor Tina Brown kind of discussed, doing a door-to-door survey kind of thing, kind of trying to reach out to more people. Is that kind of the next step? I mean, what exactly do you plan to do from here?
Yeah, so some of the conversations we've had with some pastors in churches in this community as well. And I've met with a few of the pastors in this in the specific neighborhood who have the people that part of the congregation live in the neighborhood, and so we've asked the pastors to kind of help also share this information in the community. And we're open. We want folks to come to the mission, take a tour, sit down with me, and so we can answer some of those concerns. Again, our heart is to be completely transparent from the Rescue Mission standpoint and what our desire is, what we think is best for our clients, what we think is best for the neighborhood, because we serve, again, we mentioned that 41 meals per day we serve to people who live in this specific community who walk to the Rescue Mission. So our heart's to continue to serve those folks too.
You talked about getting permission as far as, to go ahead and get this final step in motion. These conversations you said have been going on since February of 2018. How much longer do you think we are away from finally making this reality?
Yeah, that's a good question for Mayor Brown and Councilman Pinkert, honestly, brother. That's a good question for
You
them.
were talking about the bus garage. Is that I'm sorry, I'm not really familiar with that area. Is that the city bus garage or is that the WRTA bus garage?
So we're talking, so Martin Luther King is right here.
Yeah.
We're talking about the property right up on the street here. The bus parking lot right across the street is the school buses.
Gotcha.
So the mission is looking at that property then right across the street from where the school buses are on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Gotcha.
So again, and what our desire is the corridor coming down into Youngstown, because like we had mentioned during the meeting, the Lord is doing something in Youngstown. God is making a move. There is revival happening in Youngstown, and for the Rescue Mission to be at the corridor coming down from Trumbull County with a brand new $4.5 million facility for the Lord's glory just kind of speaks to what the Lord is doing in the city of Youngstown altogether, to be honest with you.
And just to reiterate, the YMCA building that you're currently in, when you vacate it, once this is all built in its new location, looking to restore it back to what it was originally supposed to be, correct?
Yeah, so there have been groups that have approached us about being interested in acquiring the building after we move to it, and we would love to provide this facility to somebody who has the means and the financial ability to restore it. There's been talks of a museum. There's a group that's having a discussion around that, which you're familiar with. And so that would be fantastic. The mission, from a financial resource standpoint, we would only be able to operate in one facility. We don't have the resources to run multiple facilities, so we would love to bless somebody with this facility that they could restore it and bring it back to what it was and use it as a museum.